Hey everyone, welcome back to Mama Genius Hub Preneur podcast. You're not the only one, you're the one that people always count on. The one who handles the schedules, the business, the questions, the emotions. And somehow you keep showing up, because I know you do. But lately you've wondered, who supports me? You scroll past the advice columns that don't quite hit you. You love community, but you're craving more meaningful connection. You don't need another course. You need someone who gets it. What if the next mentor isn't someone away, but someone already in your life? That's why Deborah Heiser is here. She's the founder of the Mentor Project and a lifelong connector of people. She's here to help you recognize the powerful relationships of you and how mentorship as a lifelong for purpose, clarity, and momentum in your motherhood and business. And we'll get started right after this. I find the intro. Mamas, welcome to the Mama Genius Preneur podcast, where real stories spark real transformations for moms ready to bring their visions to life. I'm Deborah Heiser, a mom of 3, entrepreneur, and your biggest cheerleader if you've ever felt pulled to create something bigger, whether it's a business, a book, or a movement, but also felt the weight of daily life slowing you down. You are not alone. In just 15 minutes, we'll dive into insights, strategies, and real stories for women like you. Let's bring your visions to life, starting now. And today I'm so excited to bring on Dr. Deborah, who is an applied developmental psychologist, TEDx speaker, and CEO founder of the Mentor Project. She's the author of the Mentorship Edge, and her focus is on guiding individuals through their life transitions with the power of mentorship. Deborah is a member of the Marshall Goldsmith Hunter Coaches and has been featured in Psychology Today and serves as an adjunct professor. Her mission: to help women, especially moms, stop navigating life and business alone and start thriving with the support they need. We need to talk about this today. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Deborah. We're so excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be here with you.
Oh, this is so much fun. I love this idea of mentorship and connection and really seeing as women what we do need, because a lot of times we're in that isolation of trying to do it alone. So tell us a little bit about, I'm sure you had a little bit of a struggle with figuring out, where this led, where did this idea of mentorship and idea, where is this genius coming out of you from?
So, this didn't come out of me. I didn't one day say, oh, let me start the Mentor Project. It really, it came from a long history of moving towards looking at mentorship. But when I finally was like, oh, this is something I want to settle on, there was a group of about 7 people who all had the same, we came together and we thought, wow, this would be really interesting to take a look at. And so the idea was to get some of the people into schools. So we all used our different areas of expertise. Mm-hmm. Every single person came from a different place. And we all decided this is what, I can add to it. And I said, I'll be the bus driver. And so I ended up leading it, but it ended up that it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for everyone else. So there were a bunch of founding members, in 2019 who said, let's start this. And when we did so, we had a lawyer, we had a college student, we had someone who was formerly with NASA, someone who was another researcher who turned into an author. Everyone came with completely different ideas on how we could look at mentorship in the world. And so that's really how it came about. And it still remains something that is, even though I'm running it, I can't do it without everybody's mentorship and support, because I did not start out as a business person. I'm a psychologist. So a lot of the skills that I need are things that I wasn't taught in school.
I love that so much. And I think that's a lot of time too, is that when we're in entrepreneurship, or especially those moms out there who are thinking I have to do it all and I have to do all these parts. I love how you said right away, you're like, I have this one specific genius, but it was because of all these others that this even came to be. And I that's been my vision as well as women, that we don't create an isolation, though we've been told that we need to.
But the more that we realize that we come to groups and things where we can collectively get that support, and like you said, psychology is more your expertise and all of this, not the business aspect. You got the support in the business aspect to make this happen.
Yes.
And I love that's the idea about the community. So I really want to dive into that idea of, for you, what is that? What is mentorship, and how do people, let's just start with, let's define it first.
Sure. So, mentorship is something that is so loosely defined that most of us feel like, well, I need to go find a mentor. And we think of that as some nameless, faceless individual out there who's going to solve all of our problems. And that's really not what mentorship is. I'll give you the real definition of what it is. It starts with somebody being generative. And generativity is something we're built to do. It's an emotional, developmental life stage that we should hit by the time we hit midlife. So it's where, if you can imagine having an itch and you say, oh, I want to do something where I'm giving back. I'd really just like to start to volunteer. Or, oh, I've been, really thinking it's great to give back in another way, maybe through donations or mentoring. Mentoring is the other component of it. There are 3 legs to generativity, and people often don't even know they're gravitating towards that. But you need somebody who's saying, I want to give a bit of my expertise to someone who wants it. So it's not just throwing your expertise out at the wall and seeing if it sticks. It's having a recipient for it. So that's what mentorship starts with. The second thing is we need to make sure that it's for intrinsic reasons. If you're getting paid, you're not a mentor. You're a coach, you're an advisor, you're something else, but you're not a mentor. So we need to be out there looking to engage with others because we have this desire to give, and also that we have this desire to receive, that no one's going to give us a check mark for doing it or a pay raise or a promotion. If it's part of your job description, it's not mentorship. You are being asked to do something else at work and they're calling it mentorship. So I liken it to if a person were asked to go volunteer their time at a soup kitchen. Most people say, yeah, I would do that. It makes me feel good. It's a worthy cause. I'll do it. But if I were to say to you, hey, Michelle, on your way to this, soup kitchen, instead turn left and go volunteer your time at Starbucks, giving out food and beverage to hungry, thirsty people. You'd probably say, that doesn't feel good. And that's what mentorship is when it's not mentorship. That's what it is when we are paying someone to be a mentor, is that it takes that intrinsic motivation away. We also need to have a meaningful connection with the person. So you really have to care about the other person. If I'm a mentor, I have to care that you are getting something that's going to help you. And likewise, the mentee has to say, I need to carry on what this mentor is giving me. It is important to that person that I do something with this that matters to the mentor. So it's not just one person getting something and they do with it or they don't. It has to be that mutuality. We also need to trust the person. So if I were to say, you know what, I'd love to mentor Michelle, but I'm afraid she's going to steal all my information and go start her own company with that. That's never going to work. Likewise, you said to me, hey, I am never going to open up and tell her my vulnerabilities because she's going to think less of me. And that's one of the things that we have to have. And also a goal. So some people will say, I'm just going to get a mentor and I'll see what they have to say. Maybe they have a great idea and they're going to change my life. No, you have to come in with a goal, and both parties have to agree to that goal. And it can be one that shifts over time. It could be one time only. I want to get the lay of the land of this company. Can you provide that for me? And somebody will do that. Or it can be something that shifts and changes for a whole lifetime. It can be a one-off or several decades of mentoring. So it's like ingredients that go to create something that's really tangible. It's like baking brownies. You can leave out the sugar. It'll look like brownies, but it won't taste like brownies.
I love that so much, and how you broke down what it is and what it isn't. And we'll dive into how to find it in just a moment.
Are you a mompreneur who feels a fire to create something bigger, a business, a movement, a message? but you don't want to do it alone? That's why I've created the Mama Genius Hub, a space where your vision is nurtured, your voice is heard, and your dreams grow alongside a supportive community. Inside the hub, you'll get bite-sized insights and strategies in 15-minute sessions. A community of like-minded moms who truly get it. Support to bring your vision to life without burnout. If you're ready to build your business and impact while staying true to yourself, join us today at connectingmamas.com. Your calling matters. Let's grow it together.
And so I really want to jump into, because I know you have like the mentor, what you've created, but I also want, how do people, so you've given us great definition of what mentorship is, and you've given us ingredients of to really figure out what that relationship is. Now, what's your suggestions on how to go find it?
So it's everywhere around us. It's not hard. We all think it's hard, but our mentors are not just people above us. And when you're an entrepreneur, that's the last place you're going to look. There's nobody above you. You're starting something. So we have to look to our left and to our right, and we have to look at our circle of people that we already know. We also should be looking at places where we might meet people who could be potential mentors. So the first thing I say to people is to look at those around you. They often have skills we don't. There's no one who's a duplicate of us. So it might be that you have somebody in your circle who knows how to do social media. Somebody else knows how to do some other aspects. Somebody else who's a great bookkeeper. Somebody else who knows something else. Women in particular are so good. We have networks that are so deep, and we don't think about it for business. We often think about it for making arrangements for our children, or for navigating something in the community, or somebody else's need. But when it comes to us being entrepreneurs, this is the time to dig into that network. It's also the time that if you're at a networking event, which oftentimes we go to these, they could even be school related, they could be anywhere, that we look at people as potential mentors or mentees, because it may not be at that moment that you say, I could help this person, or I bet they could help me. It might be 3 months down the road or 3 years down the road. So being mindful of everybody that we meet, that this is somebody who has an interesting skill set, or, wow, this person did not even think of my skill set when they were trying something out. I bet I could be useful to them in some way. When we start to connect that way, it makes those connections feel deeper, because we can see how we can impact them and how they can impact us. I'm not saying reciprocity. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that we feel and like to feel meaningfully connected with others, and knowing where people's strengths and weaknesses are helps to make that more meaningful, because we can be useful to somebody else. And how great does it feel to be that for someone else? And how good do you feel when someone else has helped you? So that's really how I'm defining that.
I love that so much. And I love the idea of down into that deeper connection. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So tell everyone how they can get a hold of you.
Sure. Go to mentorproject.org and you can reach me there. You can find where I write on Psychology Today, deborahheiser.com, and on LinkedIn.
And we're going to put Deborah behind stage just for a moment while I give some takeaways from our wonderful conversation today. First of all, thank you, Deborah, so much. And really looking at mentorship in a new capacity for all of us, I think especially as mom entrepreneurs who are taking so much on our shoulders is so important. I want to start with the first takeaway. It's just even how her company was started with the whole mentorship. It's not about doing it alone. It's taking the pieces of who do you need around you to help create it, because we all have our individual geniuses, but it's really about pulling those geniuses together. So what are those geniuses around you that you can find? And then number two is really that definition of mentorship. It's really about that generative idea behind it that a lot of us hit in midlife, when you want to start to give back, when you know that there's someone's expertise that you want to give. And again, I love how she goes into number three to what it is and what it is not. We're knowing those intrinsic reasons for doing it. We're trying to make meaningful connections. We want that trust, and we want to set those goals so that we're having that relationship in a way that's actually moving it productively forward, and not that icky feeling that she described when you're giving that stuff at Starbucks, right? We want to make sure that it's not that, and that we're really doing this for the reasons it's really to help us help each other, which then leads us into the fifth takeaway, is really creating those deep connections and really thinking about not just getting mentors, but also how can you be reciprocal in creating those mentees out there as well, and what are the things that you can do to also give back. Think about it in this way, is when we give back, what we're really doing is we're trying to create a better world for all of us around us, and that is a true goal. So Deborah, would love to hear your final takeaway.
I would say look to your left and look to your right. You're looking at your next mentor. And think of mentorship as a spider web with all sorts of intricate connections that are around you at all times. You're never alone.
And I think I left that one off because I had it down. So thank you, Deborah, for bringing that one back, because it's always about us coming together and the ideas that we can bring when we have more than one of us, because it's so overwhelming when we're trying to do this alone. So please look to your left, look to your right. Come join us on the hub as well. And we'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you so much, Deborah. Bye, everyone.
That's a wrap for today's episode, Mama. I hope you found something in these 15 minutes that sparked action towards your dreams. Remember, your purpose matters, your dreams are valid, and you are not alone. If today's conversation spoke to you, come join us at the Mama Genius Hub, where you'll find support, strategy, and sisterhood to turn your calling into real impact. Let's grow this together at connectingmamas.com. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. If this resonates with you, share it with another mompreneur who needs to hear this. We'll see you next time.